everybody. Welcome back to another crochet vlog. We're gonna finish the second chapter today. But before I do, I know I said a bit ago that I would stop doing these shoutouts, and I will when I'm done with going, oh wait, this person. So the last person I at least have right now would be, again on Twitter, because you guys honestly saved my sanity. Is Yodano. Just at Yodano. Um, D&D Mutual, I never, I knew he was, how do I put this? Mutuals that never really talked, but, I'd always like his content or whatever, because, hey, it's D&D, and that's something that I like, and I was feeling really down, and he came in pretty much just when I needed him, when I needed somebody. It kind of threw me for an absolute loop, and I won't ever forget the support from him or his community on that day, and still, actually, scarily enough. So yeah, thank you, Dana. You're not likely ever gonna watch this, but thank you very, very much. Okay. Whew, no tears. Alright, we're good. Okay, so we're going to continue the second chapter, just another day. Rosa and I returned an hour or so later. We parted ways and I headed to my desk to finish up the rest of the updating, now the electronic files. It just occurred to me I might need not that anybody's really watching these, but basically Eli, is working with her coworker Rosa to, clean the vaults filled with all sorts of artifacts, thousands of them, really. And they are missing Dracula's button. So they took a lunch break, and then that's basically where we are, because they basically handed off all of the trash, because the dusting and things like that, they have to do it with elbow grease. They handed it off to some other coworkers that didn't help, you see, so they get to find the button that can give magical aids. Anyway, I finished in a few hours thanks to my trusty iPod, now blasting soothing Celtic music, and turned to the rest of my paperwork. I went through it, frowning at myself. Yes, some of my case files were definitely missing. It was of high-profile objects that only the senior keepers, Eli is one of them, were privy to have the information on, and we were monitoring their whereabouts, waiting for the perfect moment to strike on them. Peter was only a junior keeper and was always looking for ways to one-up me with varying degrees of failure. I always seemed to be one step ahead of him, I thought with a smirk. But how was I going to go about getting those files back? I would be in deep dog crap if I didn't get them back. Plan made. I glanced at the clock. It was only 6:30. I had to wait for everyone to leave the office, and since I was usually the last one out, I could wait another hour or so. So I returned back to my computer and began the lengthy process of cataloging my recent adventure with the wooden splinter, from the very beginning of chapter 1. Some hours later, I looked up and stretched. I had to stop looking at the glaringly bright computer screen. My eyes were killing me. I opened my drawer and took out some Advil, popping one in my mouth. I swallowed it with some water and glanced at the clock. 9:42 p.m. I blinked, stretching again. I guess I've been working on the reports for a while. I bent over and grabbed my backpack, ruffling around it for a lockpick kit. My father used to carry one all the time, and he quizzed me until I could pick any kind of lock with ease. I had my own set, but I carried his old one with me now, to remind me of the good old days. I grabbed them gently and walked down the dimly lit hallway. It was like a ghost town, which suited me just fine. I reached Peter's door and got on my knees to have a better access to the lock. Calmly, I pulled the necessary tools out and got to work. 56 seconds later, a click could be heard and the door swung open, hitting the bags which still littered his office. Both Trevor and Peter had been grumbling loudly as they picked through the garbage, but had still yet to go through the rest, and the button was still missing. I wasn't worried. It was a button. Why would people pick it up? I mean, that's, you know, if I see a button on the ground, I'm not likely to pick it up. But that's just me. Unless you're on a litter walk, that is. I know somebody who likes to go on litter walks. Lori. No, it's great that she does that. It's really great for the environment, so good on you, Lori. I checked under his metal desk, and sure enough, there were my missing files. I scowled at the thought of Peter in my office, and was determined I would have to lock my office in the future when I left for a few minutes. Either that or lock the drawer these were held in. I chose the latter and moved on. I put the files safely outside in the hallway, then shut the door. I sat under his desk, cross-legged, closed my eyes, and breathed deeply. I concentrated, reaching deep within myself for the long, strong thread of power that led to my very center, a big ball of blue light that glowed warmly with the power force of a nuclear bomb when trifled with. Oh yes, that's just nice to casually have at your center. Mhm. When I opened my eyes again, the world was different, yet the same. The only thing that was different was the flickers of scenes flitting everywhere, flying this way and that as the stray memories zoomed towards me, clamoring for my attention. The dimensions and rifts were lined up against the wall, tinged with a light blue, while the memories were tinged with varying degrees of silver. All of the magic was assaulting my senses, overwhelming me for a moment before I powered through and emerged from the sea of magical pulses. I crawled out from under the desk, avoiding the memories with difficulty, as a few touched my skin and showed me previews of what they had to offer, but none of them had what I wanted. So I spread my arms, welcoming them in, held my breath, and summoned them. It was the force of someone kicking me 100 times, knocking me back on my butt on top of the desk, and I was abruptly cold all over. My breath came out misty and my teeth began to chatter, so I clenched them shut and concentrated, working my way through the images, searching for the one I wanted. When the grainy image of a woman and a dog flashed in my mind, I mentally backpedaled, grabbing onto the silvery thread and reeled it back in. The image became clearer, so I could focus on my other senses besides sight. The girl was talking on an older Bluetooth earpiece and was walking one dog. When the ground felt solid under me, I followed her down the scenic suburbia street. It wasn't quite high-class mansions, but it was a step up from the regular middle-class houses. She was talking in a professional tone, wearing a workout outfit that looked brand new, shiny white Nike shoes on her moving feet. I never understand white shoes. I always get them just completely dirty. I followed her for a good 10 minutes, watching with a growing smirk as she knocked on doors to collect dog leashes with dogs attached and began to do her daily job of being a dog walker. Has anyone guessed what Eli's revenge plan is yet? This was exactly what I needed. I followed her for a few more minutes, watching as the fecal matter moved through the dog's systems and eventually surfaced out their back door, only to be collected in little bags. Soon she had a big handful of smelly bags with lovely presents deposited inside. I smiled once more, closed my eyes, and concentrated again, only this time I held my breath. Soon the hot, rancid air of the bags was around me, and it made me want to go take a shower in the hazmat unit. I felt disgusted, but continued to concentrate. The world spun under my feet, almost making me stumble, but I caught myself on the chair as I returned to Peter's office. When I opened my eyes, the smelly poo-filled bags were in my clammy hand. I was always cold during and after traveling. With a grimace, I put the steaming bags on Peter's desk and stepped outside to take a breath of fresh air. I gulped it down and took another deep breath. I summoned some latex gloves and got to work depositing the fresh contents all around his office. All I can think about right now is like Ding Dong Ditch. Like, isn't that the game where you light dog poo in a brown bag on fire on someone's stoop? Oh god. I had to take a few breathing breaks, which took time. But after 30 minutes or so of doing this, his office smelled significantly dirtier It had hidden poop everywhere. That would be my, not my worst nightmare, but it's up there. I threw away the bags and exited his office, my dirty work finished. Once I was out in the hallway, I realized a smell curried through his solid oak door, slipping through the space at the bottom. I wrinkled my nose and waved my fingers. The bead of sweat and tummy grumble was a small cost to pay for the odorless spell. Yeah, odorless spell. I wanted to say odorless smell, but I mean, I suppose that's true. Smelling once more at the daisy fresh smell, I wiped my hands free of this crime and gathered my belongings, locking my door firmly behind me. I cheerily hummed my music all the way to a pizza joint to get some good eats to take back with me. As it was about 11 o'clock by the time I got back, I didn't have to share my Hawaiian with anyone, seeing as they weren't around to bother me. So, who here likes Hawaiian pizza? Because I love Hawaiian pizza. I am firmly in the category of pineapple does belong on pizza. Although I do also like an olive and sausage, or just a plain cheese or plain pepperoni. I just like my Hawaiian every now and then, okay? Another day at work done, and what a good work day it had been too. Pizza was the perfect reward after a day like today. I ate my fill, savoring the delicious crust, then fell asleep, dreaming of the good old days. And we'll do that. Ah, I forgot about this part. So no, dang it, that's a dog. 1 minute. I actually can talk while I'm getting her. Getting them. Whichever one it is. Which one is it? Hmm? Oh, it's a whiskey. It. Not my headset. Not my headset going, oh, we're not hearing anything, so we're just gonna turn off. Ah, yes, I'd forgotten about this part. If there is one good thing about this series, other than me going through this painful therapy exercise, it's that I'm reading this again, and it's what's kind of kicking me in the pants to read it, to at least sit down and read it. So I do appreciate that. Anyway, meanwhile, in the basement. Ooh. Grandmother Caroline's POV. Point of view. There's clearly something amiss here. Evangeline Deed tried diffusing the tense situation. The coven was convening. The coven was convening. In the basement of the old brownstone house owned by the Laveaux, all staring at the mess and acrid smoke rising from the messed up pentagram and spilled candle wax. The 6 heirs of the 6 families present had been casting here a mere hour ago, trying and failing to do a single scrying spell. The subject they had first tried to scry was Eliana, but all that had been in the center of the diagram was an impenetrable wall of white smoke. They had tried to peer past it, but it just gave everyone a headache from the intense stench of sea salt and dog poop. A few of the meaner heirs muttered the forbidden word defect under their breaths before they tried Victor, my 9-year-old grandson who was in his room playing with his Legos, making some sort of Death Star. Now, just to remind you, defect means no magical talent. They do not know Eli has power at all because she is not into showing it. I don't know why I'm explaining this. The, Congratulations, Liz. You're sitting here telling me not to bully myself. See, I was about to say something mean, but first Lori came into mind, and then you came into mind. So I'm not going to say what I was going to say, but everybody can probably assume what I was going to say if anybody gets to this point. I don't think anyone is. I wasn't the only one who discreetly did a scrying spell. A lot of the parents did as well, just to see if there was something other than magic going on. But no, we all could see his cute little face, narrowed in concentration, clear as day. And specifically when I say the heirs, it's the current generation, or I suppose you could say the upcoming generation. Specifically Like Carolyn's grandchild, uh, all of the kids, right? The ones that are Eli's age and or younger. Um, the heirs of the 6 families. So not the parents, but the children. That makes sense. But no, we all could see his cute little face narrowed in concentration clear as day. We watched as the spell hit climax, and should have yielded some result, but instead it backfired, with fire going everywhere, the bowls of water going up in the air, and the kids' hands disconnected, causing them to fall out of the circle. Never mind, I explained it right there. Why did I? It was very disturbing to think of the implications, which all of us were thinking of now, but no one wanted to say it. We all stayed standing where we were, while our children trudged upstairs to go their separate ways. None of us spoke for a while, but the tension grew and grew, the accusing words unspoken getting louder and louder, until kind Eva finally spoke. She was right. There was something wrong. Someone had to say it, get it out there, even if it sickened me. Perhaps one of them isn't the true heir. The carefully chosen words spilled out of my lips, too late to take back. Now to wait for the implications of the bomb I had just set off to strike the rest. A pin drop could be heard from the silence I had just created. The energy in the air, stagnant and sly, came out of the shadows to play, growing angry. What are you suggesting, matriarch? Charles Montague harshly questioned, his cold black eyes staring poisoned daggers into me. Are you suggesting that one of our kids, our legacy, lied? Or that we are all stupid enough to see that they aren't the heir? If any of them aren't the heir, I vote for it to be Charlotte. She was always weak. He spat in the direction of Jonathan Deed, Charlotte's father, who bristled at the insult. Charlotte was a healer, not a fighter, and was adored by her family. Wait a second. Oh, I see something I did wrong. No, I didn't. Yes, I did. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I don't think I did. No, 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 no. No, I didn't. Never mind. Never mind. Never mind. I don't. I need. This is a good reason why I'm reading this, so I can go and take notes and rewrite, so that it all is nice in my head, and I'm gonna have nice little handy dandy little family trees or something to help people because I need the help. I sighed, resisting the urge to rub my temples. Of course, Charles would start throwing the blame at Charlotte. Just because she couldn't heal his baby girl. No. I closed my eyes, blocking out the bad memories of that time. Foreshadowings, anybody? Foreshadowing for something that comes later. And technically, a flashback, or whatever the going back of foreshadowing is. Charlotte had only been 8 years old. It was foolish of him to even consider her using her powers to heal an incurable disease. One day, he would realize that. Until then... Enough. My voice had gotten deeper and more menacing, my aged vocal cords strong once more as I borrowed power from the house, filled with power unimaginable from the countless generations who had been born, lived, and died on this very ground. My eyes blazed a deep forest green, glowing with magic. The herbs hanging from the ceiling began to sway with the wind that twirled around my extended fingertips, sprinkled with age. The fire, coals emitting faint sparks as it died, roared to life once more, the flames eager to taste human flesh. I opened my eyes, staring steadily at Charles' tight face. It was all anyone could do to not to fall under the pressure that my magic brought. We will not fight amongst ourselves, I ordered, before reining in the power that had reminded them of who I still was, Priestess Caroline of the Laveau clan. I still controlled the elements, and if I wished, I could destroy towns, even cities. But I was getting too old for it now, and Ariana, my beloved but foolish daughter, was too weak-willed to be priestess. It was my hope that her heir would be someone I could pass the power down to, but if Madeline was truly the heir, then my choices were indeed limited. Madeline wasn't mature enough. There's still Eliana, a voice unknown whispered from the dark corners of my mind. Keeping my eldest granddaughter in mind, I spoke normally. Let us test all of our children one more time, but do not let them know. Write in the language of our ancestors, something generic as to not let them be suspicious. Do this tomorrow and let me know. If it isn't a matter of heirs, then perhaps they simply aren't working hard enough. Charles's eyes blazed with anger, opened his mouth to speak. No, Charles, let us be done with arguments and accusations. No one is pointing fingers at anyone. Saying this, I gazed at each of the 6 families here tonight. The Deeds, Montagnais, Glassmans, Glapians, Mastros, and last of all, my family, the Laveaux. Letting them all know with my gaze that the words I spoke were true, I finished softly. Let us do this for the good of the coven. Agreeing murmurs reached my partially deaf ears with nods and set mouths, determined on the task I bade them. I watched as they all headed up to the creaky wooden stairs of the basement, blowing out the candles, lighting the room with a snap of my fingers as I walked up last. I thought of my grandchildren. Victor, the mischievous little prankster who only used his magic for his own purposes. Madeline, beautiful yet stuck up, who was pampered like a princess and whose magic was mediocre at best. And last but not least, Eliana, who I knew nothing about. She was an enigma, a mystery. She had lived with her father for her entire life and knew of magic, yet seemed to have none of her own. But she always seemed to have shields up, as if afraid her secrets spilling out. I knew she must have them. Why else would she ward herself that strongly? Almost too strongly. Yes, she must have magic. Nothing else makes sense otherwise. These thoughts mused in my tired mind as I drifted off to a vision-filled sleep that yielded more questions than answers, all about Eliana. Was she just that strong-willed and mindful of her surroundings, or did she indeed have magic? Was she the heir I had been hoping for? It was time to find out. I did not realize the person that I shared this document with had gotten that far down. I did not realize that at all. So, yes, that is the end of chapter 2. Good God, I forgot how powerful that little scenario was. I'll be honest, I kind of forgot about it, honestly. Yeah. I Despite the fact it was filled with typos and like the documents yelling at me, I'm impressed with myself. So I kind of feel like I need to clarify one or two things here. So magic is everywhere in the world. Everyone has I want to say has the capacity for magic, but not always the ability to. Some people that are like mortals, mundanes, defects, whatever you want to call them, muggles, just the non-magic folk, they can tap into it without knowingly tapping into it and get through sometimes. They're just strong-willed, mindful, like they do a lot of yoga, or they're just very, very, very strong-willed. Um, Strong temperament, strong individual, they don't have a weak mind. She's thinking or has been operating under that assumption that that's what Eliana is. Some mortals do know of magic. Typically they try to avoid what they don't understand, but some of them do kind of learn about it, are able to be around it. Again, that's kind of what she's assuming Eliana is. This is kind of I don't want to say a weak plot hole, but it is a little bit of one that I do want to address. And actually, you know what? Screw it. Let's talk about that. Because when I was writing this, I was focused more on Eliana and her story. I was not really focused on world building. It was not something I was good at as a teenager. I mean, this is my first book. Like, pig with lipstick, this is my first book. Character development was more my strong suit. So, especially with writing my second book, A Witch's Dead, I really, really worked on world building, and I'm still working on it. And like I'm taking a few other books that I've been working on, and I'm like combining the universes because I feel like they would fit. Yeah. Now I want to go down that rabbit hole. We're not going to. So I want to get back to this particular thing. And honestly, actually, now I'm sitting here thinking about it, because I like the idea of different universes or different realms. Like, obviously, Eli's book, well, I say obviously, but it's set on Earth, okay? It's set in our world on Earth. But what if there were multiple, like, parallel universes, parallel dimensions where there's a different Earth, and some people can access that? What if they're all bound by some law of time, right? So in that way, just because for shits and giggles, for nothing else but me, I think it would be fun if I did combine all of them and had them all combined through time. Through the bindings of time. I don't know. It's something that's very interesting to me. Another thing is magic. I'm not good at making up my own words. And that is something I've always struggled with, especially considering a little later on, all of the coven basically has to go to magic boarding school. And I really did struggle with a lot of the things. Like, yes, I mean, there's herbology, there's this, Eli's in a traveler class, all of these different things. But I'm not good at making up my own words, like Harry Potter's Leviosa, for example. Or, Wingardium Leviosa. Holy crap, how'd she come up with that word? Because okay, well, you could do Latin. I don't know Latin. Latin makes my eyes go crisscross applesauce. So I've been toying with the idea, and it's shown up more and more and more in various ways in my writings, except for D&D related things, because that's actually set. For my original works, for magic casters and just, things like that, I'm thinking, first of all, intent. Intent is huge. You need to have the intent, and you need to know what you're doing. If you want that jug of water to be filled, then you need to envision it in your mind's eye filling up with drinkable water. Not everybody can see things in their mind, though, so maybe those people need to instead practice more intent combined with words. Because again, there's the different learners, right? We've got the people that are hands-on. We have the people that are audio learners, visual learners, and then we've got the textile people. So I'm kind of toying with, what if people they access magic in all different ways. Some people want to use the old words of, like, Wingardium Leviosa or whatever it is. Other people, they don't need to. They could be more like Eli and just focus on the intent and the visualization. Because traveler magic is more based in that, therefore she's better at it. Or some people don't need the Latin, but they're somewhere in the middle. They just need to maybe use their hands a little bit more, or if they want water in that cup, they can just point at it and water. Just say water, and with that intent comes water. Again, pulling from that magic. That's something that I'm kind of wanting to address more and add in the rewrite, specifically in the rewrite for this one. I don't know how well that's going to work, though, and I don't have anybody I can talk to on it, so that's great. I guess if anybody gets to this point, which I don't think anyone is, give me your thoughts on that. Constructive criticisms and all. Pretty much take anything, unless you're going to be a troll, then obviously I'm going to ignore that. But, yeah. man, I forgot. God, this next chapter is gonna be fun. Let's look at the next chapter actually. Ah, yes, it's called At Risk because that's exactly what we want for a chapter title. Anyway, thank you if anybody gets to this point for listening. Um, and yeah, I think crocheting wise, we're gonna be working on, or we will have worked on a headband in the Alpine Stitch, and that will be going up on the Terrifying Coffee page. And yeah, it was not a car cover. It was not anything like that. I don't really know how to do those. There's patterns for them, but like I have no need to make them, and nobody's ever asked me to, so it's like I don't need to. But no, I'm just making a few headbands out of this because I thought, hey, that would be really kind of cute in this, and I can get probably like maybe 2 headbands out of it instead of a form-fitting hat. So yeah, no. So hopefully we got a good chunk of that done. And yeah, I won't take up any more of y'all's time. Have a great day. Bye.